Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you find yourself in this weird, wild, wacky world of ours, and welcome to another exciting installment of Northeast Kansas. Aha! That is one of the 1 in 10 times I didn't fuck up during the entire intro. I deserve a cookie. Um, this, there we go. This evening's scene is set at the stately home of Alexander Trendle, also known as Sir Triori Apelude. It is just an average. Evan has to look at the fucking date. It's just an average
September.
Tuesday. There we go. So, yes, and things are going to occur with stuff and malarkey. So I will let Sean take it away.
It's about this time that generic government vehicle, not an SUV. They're not expecting to carry off with anyone. I mean, maybe they will. This is a changeling scene after all, but they come in a unmarked vehicle. State government official, so it's probably like on a budget. Kansas is having some budget problems. It has to do with as much as I like Sean as an ST likes tax breaks. You shouldn't give those out if you can't pay the bills. Anyway, minor political aside, with issues in the state of Kansas, they pull up and the two of them get out. They're well dressed. I wouldn't call it like your generic detective, except they work for the state, so they're reasonably dressed, not like schlummy with their stereotypical overcoats. And well, it is September, so if you're wearing an overcoat, you're an idiot. But they come up to the door and knock on the door.
Elizabeth will open the door and say, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. May I be of assistance?"
They would introduce themselves with blah name, because I'm not going to go find state officials' names.
Smith and Jay.
Bob and Julie. Sure, why not? Bob and Jay. No, not that. Bob and Susie, whatever. They have names. We'll pretend they matter. They will display their official badge, if they even have one for CPS. I don't know. I didn't look it up. And say that we were needing to follow up on some questions. Is Mr. Trendle here?
Yes, sir. May I ask what this is regarding?
Well, two separate matters, really. One, we were trying to seek more information on Miss Lucy. Apparently, Mr. Trendle is her uncle. And also, we were needing to get some information on a possible case of child neglect.
I see, sir. Absolutely. Mr. Trendle is currently outside on the veranda taking tea. If you would care to follow me.
Of course. They'll follow after.
Okay. They are brought out behind the... Hey, Tim.
I didn't know you line already.
No worries. They are brought out behind the stately home, where indeed Priori is with his, he has a teacup in one hand and is calmly drinking tea and reading the newspaper. Elizabeth will walk up and say, "I'm sorry, sir. However, these individuals are from Child Protective Services and they'd wish to speak to you." At which point, the paper is very slowly lowered. He will look up at the two gray suits, because even if they're well dressed, if they're from, I don't know, the government, I picture them wearing gray suits.
I'm sure in the dream they look that way.
Yes, and he will say, "Welcome." Sorry, I'll do his voice. "Welcome to my home, and madam, may I offer you some tea?"
Sure.
Very good. They will be given tea and tiny cakes.
Yay! Since they're not, they take a very polite demeanor, because they're not charging. They're just trying to figure out where everything is right now. And they open with, well, I'll tell you what we told the lady who answered your door. We're currently here to speak with you on two things, and they'll take a seat as they start to speak. Oh, not a hive mind, one of them. We'll say one of them's taking notes, the other one's doing the speaking. We have two matters. One, we were wanting to follow up on our current investigation, possible case of child neglect with an individual, Miss Lucy. And we were also informed that you were her uncle, and as we could not find any current information on relatives or next of kin, we were going to see if you had any information as to who her parents might be and other matters like that.
Let's see. He will say as he places down the newspaper, folds it, and he says, "I'm afraid you have me at somewhat of a disadvantage. I'm not a kin or blood relation to Miss Lucy in the slightest, you see, so I'm not sure who has made such a connection, but they are unfortunately mistaken."
We had some officials from the state do an interview with her, and she had said that you were her uncle.
I see. No, unfortunately not. The child is often bewildered, though I do have a vested interest in her continued safety, so I assume that she is well.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Very good.
So it's more of just a colloquial term that she refers to you as that because she knows you that well?
I would say that this is apt.
Okay. Do you have, just in case you happen to, do you know anything about her parents or anything? It seems to be that no one has been able to get any information as far as that's concerned, and that's why we have a current case open as to determining who guardianship should fall to.
No, I had recommended that an individual who had wanted to become her custodian, one Mr. Corey Russo, I believe, sought legal counsel in regards to his petition. But other than that, I have no idea as to the parental status of Miss Lucy, nor indeed where her parents might be.
I see. Is there any point in time that she was under, well, not official custody, but living with you?
Yes. Shortly after she arrived, when it became clear that she had no one to serve as a loco parentes, I deemed this in the spirit of charity, as it were, to take her in here until such time as we were able to find a more permanent living solution for her. After all, we do have the room, etc.
Okay. Can you describe what it was like while she was here, living situation, what how she was treated, not necessarily by you, but by others coming and going, friends, acquaintances, people that you worked with?
We did our best in order to accommodate her and her individual and unique needs to understand. However, frankly, I'm far too busy in order to play nursemaid or indeed father at this time, so I cannot honestly say, but she was treated by my staff, I'm sure, with the highest level of respect that was due her station.
And I assume that's when she was given to Mr. Rosencourt because you could not provide adequate time for her?
It was decided, well, when I say it, Mr. Rosencourt deemed himself to be a fit individual to serve as her legal guardian. I did not have time, as I say, in order to take up the mantle myself, but I had nothing but the... when the process began, I had nothing but the most firm belief that Mr. Rosenkohl would be rather up to the challenge, as it were. However, over time, that opinion was rather heavily eroded. But then again, it was no longer my concern.
And what made you believe that he wasn't fit, as you'd say?
Well, he was known to allow the child to frequent drinking establishments late at night, to the extent that the establishment that I own and operate in the city had to put up an official warning so that children could not be in the bar after hours.
I see. Do you know if anything happened while she was there?
Not to my knowledge. I'm led to understand that she was, however, placed in an environment where individuals were consuming alcohol, and at that formative age, it is no place for a child, you understand.
Mm-hmm. We had received information while doing the interviews from several individuals that from time to time that yourself or your staff had made untoward comments and hinted at but never really made clear allusions to potential physical abuse.
You can see him nod, and he says, "That is indeed a very serious allegation to levy. I'm sorry to hear it. I can only say that for myself, I have never made such profund or verbose statements. I will be quite happy, however, to make it so that my staff understand that is not acceptable. And if I should hear of it happening again, I will be more than happy to alert your good self."
Do you know of any of your staff doing such?
He will contemplate for a few moments, and he will say, I believe that if there was anything, it may just be a matter of cultural misappropriation. Individuals born in different societies, what to them would be considered cultural norms might to the American ear be considered more palindromic, perhaps. I don't believe that anything was ever meant in a way as to directly threaten or offend the child.
So you didn't personally overhear it, but it's a possibility that it could have taken place.
Once again, as I've said, this is a big house, gentlemen. It is quite possible that things happen. But as I've said, I do not believe anyone who I have employed would do so with any malice and or forethought. It may have just been them attempting to, what's the American term, rib, and it not be taken overly well. But then again, I did ask rather a lot of them, as Lucy was a rather demanding child, constantly craving physical affection and constantly craving physical affection and attention. And these individuals are here, after all, in order to do a day's work. So if they said something to let off steam, then that may be the case. But while she was here, I was the one serving as Iloco Parentes, and I can say that the child was in absolutely no danger.
And the reason we ask is we have to, of course, follow up on everything. But the verbiage used was, I can understand when you're saying that it was probably meant in a to let off steam, as you say, but as officials of the state, we still have to follow up on some of these things. The matter that seems to be most pointed was that in one instance, the utterance used was that they were going to get a shovel and a shotgun and take care of the problem themselves.
You can see him nod, and he says, most interesting. However, if taken out of context, as I said, Lucy was a very demanding child. They could have been making a dramatic statement towards, I'd rather shoot myself in the head and fall in a hole. There is no inference to say that it was leveled at her, as opposed to a statement towards themselves. Mind you, as I've said, it is not, once again, cultural quirks. For example, in Ireland, it is not considered uncommon to say, I'll give you back to the church if you don't shut up. And that is considered a way that parents raise their children. Out of character, that's entirely true. My grandparents used to say it to me all the bloody time. Continue.
Oh. I'm forgetting that was brought up because I'm blanking.
The biggest thing that was brought up was the shotgun and shovel. That the whole drugging thing was conveniently left out. So
The whole what thing was immediately left out, Tim?
The drinking, luckily.
the drinking and the drug stuff, that was all left out. That got glossed over.
You mentioned that she was with Mr. Rosenkorsh, that you observed that he was, or I think that's how Charles's character's last name reads, was let free to roam. What of the situation while she was staying with you?
She was told that she had the free run of the house. However, she would attend lessons as anyone her age should. I do not believe the child has ever attended formal education, and when she came here, she had literally one suit of clothing. We, of course, provided her with more, made sure that she was well fed and well nourished, and were attempting to provide her with an educational curriculum. However, she did not seem overtly interested.
Well, that seems to be the case, as we've observed, ever since she has become a ward of the state. She's endeavored to schooling, but to say that her mind freely wanders is probably an apt definition of the situation.
Triori's eyebrow flicks up at word of the state. He will say, yes.
And because of the situation, and also because we don't know who her parents are, it's kind of what the situation justified.
Oh, of
trying
course,
to make
I
it sound
understand.
less, yeah.
He will say, so I suggested that Mr. Rosenkorb attempted to provide, as I said, legal representation for his custody hearing, and I assumed that the information that you are trying to ascertain was information that was released or that was spoken during said custody hearing.
We haven't had the custody hearing yet. We've just done the preliminary interviews and things like that. The situation with the custody has changed. The primary, the person primarily seeking custody at this point in time is, oh, for the love of God, what is Kim's character's mortal name? Mordecai?
Mordecai.
Okay. And he is a secondary on the petition to the state.
I see. But you deemed the child to be at risk, so the child has been taken out of Mr. Rosencore's custody and thus been placed as a ward of the state?
Placed as a ward of the state because of the situation we're currently investigating, and also because we don't have a parent identified, and until we can have a legal determination as to who would be best fit for the child, it falls to the state to care for the child.
I see. Is there anything further that you require of me, gentlemen?
At this time, it doesn't seem like we have anything further, but we will let you know if there is. Is there a number with which we can contact you at?
Elizabeth will step forward and place down a business card and slide it across the table.
Thank you. We'll take these notes and continue on with our investigation. I appreciate your time.
By all means. Though, how to phrase, as I've said, the current well-being of the child is of paramount concern to me. I assume that, as far as you are currently aware, she is well, etc.
No, what was that, Evan? You were kind of breaking up there.
He said, as I have said, the welfare of the child is of paramount importance to me, so I assume she is well, etc.
She seems to be a bit down, but that's to be expected after having established relationships with people and the current situation that she's having to live in right now away from them.
Sean, Kansas is a red state, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Realistically, because I never actually thought of this, what are the chances of a single male custodian actually being given a child in the state of Kansas?
We discussed that. That's why the the petition was amended.
Excellent.
Yeah. Currently, let's see here. Well, I think that is all. Well, you have a good evening, Mr. Trimble.
Thank you very much. Miss Elizabeth will see you out.
And they'll follow her back out.
Okay. The Baron is currently getting a very short, perfunctory text message that basically is a much politer version of "we're in the shit." Oh shit, we're in the shit. We're kind of in the shit. ... shit.
Meanwhile, Karina, I don't know if she's...
You seem to like that word as the text you got back. Shit. Are you wallowing in it?
But so with that, he will stand up from his breakfast table and he will basically go be driven to the Baron's freehold because there's a talking that needs to happen.
Karina is also on her way.
Oh boy. Let's just say they arrive at the same time for funness.
Okay.
Hooray! Fun!
So regardless of how it happened, Karina, they're looking very regal, obviously. Well, as regal as you can without, you know, looking like pretty much a fucking beast, because hashtag house to see it for the win. Anyway, we'll see Priori and say, "Oh, Sir Priori, there are some developments that I may need to tell you about."
Do these pertain to why Child Protective Services was at my door this morning?
She blanks. Yes.
Ah. Perhaps it might be best if you elaborate both to me and the Baron, as I believe he is currently waiting for us.
Will do.
Sean, the Baron's getting a rat-tat-tat on his door.
Yay! One second. And did that. And did that. Both of you will be taken into his study, and he'll meet you there and sit down at his nice desk where he seems to meet everybody at. Judging from the text I received, I assume that this is going to be a pleasant meeting.
I yield the floor to. Sorry, I lead the floor to Lady Stormfury in this matter, and then I will speak.
We arranged a meeting with Sir Triori Squire. Oh, see, I forget Sam's character's name. Isn't it John Vittorio or something like that?
Something like that.
You know what? I know how to play it off. Karina just forgot his name.
There.
With Sir Triori Squire. It looks like she's trying to remember. She'll look over to Triori and say, the allele.
There's just kind of the nod of, fuck, I can't remember his name either.
He
Yes, Mr. Machini. I can use the internets and get to the forums.
Corey, as well as others of us, met up with him, and he provided us his counsel and found ways to get us the best strategized for the meeting. The role that I took. We met up with the interviewers, and we were asked very, very basic questions about where we lived, what our professions were, how we felt about Lucy. And soon, Sir Triori's name came up, referring to him as an uncle.
As what, Tim?
As an uncle.
Oh.
Because I believe that they mentioned that in their room, right? He was like, yeah, she was saying he was her uncle or something.
Yeah.
And so, out of character, let me know if I get this wrong, because I was just walking in general, because I may have done some details. Corey, she clears her throat as the icy demeanor is kind of starting to melt into anger. She's being composed. Corey aggravated the situation by calling one of, either it was Triori or one of his subordinates, words to question. And at that point, the protective services were worried that Triori would serve as a physical threat to Lucy.
The Baron has this moment of relax too.
As such, the state has taken Lucy into their custody, and they have stated that they will give me a full exam.
At which point, Triori just like very gently starts stroking his forehead with his thumb and forefinger, kind of like, "Oh God."
He kind of sits back up in his chair. He's just like,
if you like,
For the record.
Oh, Karina was just going to come up with a bad idea out of character. Karina was just going to say,
Okay.
"My lord, if you like, I can take a few squires and we can go in, kill any guards that we need to, and bring Lucy out."
Well, I'm at a loss for ideas, so that sounds like the best one already.
Excellent. No, Triori will he will lean forward and he'll pent his fingers and he says, "I swear a solemn oath that under heaven and above the ground, let the wind never fall upon me, let my breath be stolen from me, if I ever spoke a word to threaten that child." No. I have had my honor insulted by this satyr, my lord, and in this matter I call for justice. However, that is personal and can be settled else times. If they do a physical exam upon the child, they will notice the fact that that dreaming elements exist upon her body, at which point the satyr has put us all in mortal danger.
He reaches around and knocks hard on the door behind him, like you think he, on the second tap, he might put a hole in some freaking door, and it's an oak door. And his son pokes his head through the door. Could you, I don't know, maybe if you have time, possibly make it in your day available to call this number and proceed upon them the importance that they need to call me back whenever they feel like it. The door shuts rapidly.
However, this does raise more important questions. Even if we quash the physical examination, it is now well known and documented that the child has no legal parents, which means that they will more than likely have already taken samples in order to try and ascertain her birth. This has become incredibly complicated, all because one horned-headed one couldn't keep his mouth shut.
My lord, if I may. Out of character, we're gonna see some motherfucking Karina being Sealy. Karina will say.
Out of character, we're gonna say what, Tim?
We're gonna see Karina being Sealy.
Oh Lord.
Karina will say. It is my humble suggestion that whilst Corey should be dealt with, our focus and all of our attention for right now should be focused upon repairing the damage that has already been done to the right of ignorance by any means necessary.
Triori will say, perhaps in that case, rather than sweeping into the building, if a single body is found that at least appears to be Miss Lucy's, they will have no further cause for investigation, and she can be altered so that it is as if it never happened.
That will then put a whole murder investigation on the table, would it not? And
unless it appears she died of natural causes.
Yeah, and still the issue of it may just be easier and simple if we produce a person that is their parental unit. Would it not? Parental unit.
Triori will nod and he will say, I have no idea how it is that the humans do these things, but surely there would need to be tests that would have to verify the individual.
DNA. That is what they call it.
Tim
DNA.
earning that .1 of science right there.
No, it's actually 3 dots. She's just an Arcadian, and she has the 3 dots. She just finds it hard to access them.
Or at the very least, some level of paperwork confirming such, maybe, or any of the above, or actual stating title, or actual stating legal documents, or I don't know, a funny letter written in crown, maybe.
But would you? Frankly, this child has caused more. Who would you? He's trying to think of a polite way of saying who would you saddle with this. Who the fuck is the gimp who has to do this? Because it's sure as hell not gonna be him. People say, and who would you bestow this honor upon, my lord?
Well, he says, kind of leaning over the table and over on the desk and grinning. Well, I do recall somewhere in the statements, and I could be wrong, that it was already made perfunctory that you might be a relative. Was it not? And he kind of looks over at Triori.
It was until this afternoon when I had to refute that to Child Protective Services. As they asked questions on the nature of the child's parents I couldn't answer.
Oh, but you've never lied so sweetly, have you?
He will say, I couldn't possibly comment, Baron.
A distant relative, and perhaps you made a minor error in your assumptions.
He will say, however, this is after all Kansas, and I have no doubt that they would show much more sympathy to a female as opposed to a male when it came to issues of fraternity and family.
As far as permanent guardianship, that's, I guess, a matter for the courts to decide. But as far as alleviating our situation right now, it might be a lie that might actually work. Maybe. I haven't thought it through yet, so you probably shouldn't quote me on it.
Yes, sir.
Other than producing a body magically, which I don't know if anyone here has the ability for that. That seems like it might be the best thing we have to go on, unless any of you have ideas to the contrary.
I would like to voice my immediate support for storming the building.
Oh, out of character. That's a terrible idea. That is the worst idea.
I'm aware of this fact. It's still better than me being Lucy's legal guardian.
Hey! You just have to be it long enough for it to be transferred to someone else.
Oh my god! You know what? Fuck it. You know what? No, she's using her regent legacy. Yeah, she'd definitely do this because it's not about her right now. She'll say, "My Baron, if I may." I have already built up quite a bit of a rapport with Lucy, and it does seem as if those that were interviewing trusted me. Well, I would not say trust, I would say I did not immediately look like someone that would murder a child.
Best of the worst options?
Something like that. when it comes to repairing the Ashit, we all have to do our part. I am not a mother, but if it means repairing the damage that has been done, then I will do what I must.
Traori will nod and he will say, "Indeed, it is up to you, my lord. If it comes to the repair of the Ashit, we must all do what we can."
Well, given the situation and its eminent nature, I think we go forward with the cards we have on the table and expedite this custody issue so that all this can move under the rug.
This seems reasonable.
I am unsure of how humans shuffle their papers.
Like this. He'll set it back on the table.
You are the pinnacle of the pride and dignity of your office, my lord.
As always.
She's just gonna blink. And she will say, "What I mean to say is, my lord, what is step one?"
Yes.
Oh no, she asked what step one was.
Oh,
Unless
step one.
unless Baron.
Step. I'm sorry, I was confused by what you were saying. Step one. Go back to pretending to be uncle for, I don't know. How long do you think it's going to take? A day, an hour to get this paperwork finalized?
In theory, if the paperwork is provided to me, we can go immediately. What time of the day is it?
It is 6:40. Everything's closed.
He'll say, if the paperwork can be provided for me today, I actually just have to make sure Traori has the law in order to know how this works, because Evan, out of character, knows how this works. But I don't know if Traori does. He has law 1, so yeah, Evan has about law 1. He'll say, very well. In the event that you have the paperwork provided for me, I can have an emergency injunction brought before a family court judge early tomorrow morning, at which point, if she will ratify the paperwork, Lucy should be free lunchtime-ish into my custody.
Well, the thing is we just, if what has been told is correct, and I think the assumption here is that you're still under investigation, right? Right? Or am I wrong here? Right, wrong, right, wrong.
I believe that I provided adequate information to the individuals in order to alleviate that.
Still, they might take precautions until that time. All we need you to do is play pretend until their court case is settled, and then guardianship can be transferred from y'all, who will willingly give it up, to whomever.
Yes.
I think that's the plan. Okay. Clear.
But as I said, in order to get her released from the foster care system, I would still need to have an injunction put through the courts to have me recognized at least temporarily.
I will have to find someone who actually knows something about law on that, I think.
I have learned a small amount, though.
But it would seem that your squire is very proficient. Wait. Your squire may be very proficient in that, but I also have my own on staff. It goes through a Rolodex. People still have Rolodexes. Anyway.
Nah, I still got a Rolodex.
And finds his lawyer and be like, oh, we'll take that card and put it over. Here looks nice. Anyway. And we'll get that rolling. And then we can look on that. Who is currently the primary person that is currently setting for custody?
Corey.
Who?
Corey?
Oh,
No. Corey went to secondary.
Oh, Corey went to secondary. Who's primary then?
Mordecai.
Oh, it was?
I think so. Wasn't that what happened in that scene? Because he was seen as a single person who was taking care of a young child in the state of Kansas. And we all kind of got together and decided that was a bad idea.
I mean, on the flip side, the thing with Mordecai was he was going to be a single man raising a child after another child had already died a few years
That's
ago.
right.
Yeah, that was what happened. It was gonna be like Karina probably because she was the closest one to being.
Okay, so it's Karina that is the primary on the petition.
Yeah, the best one in their minds.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. Like if they wanted to select from the three, it looked like Karina was going to be like one of the better choices.
Okay, so Karina's primary with the other two secondary.
that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down.
Okay.
I hope Steven knows that he's going to get the surname Storm Fury, and that's not going to be a choice.
Oh well.
Well,
And-
if Lucy himself, that's Jack's lawyer.
Oh. Well, at least things can be moved forward on that matter. I suppose, given that the ball's already rolling on, getting all of that cleared up. I guess that leaves only one matter, or two, maybe three. I do like things coming in threes. Not issues like this, of course. Those can come in like zeros, but threes is usually a good number. Sir Traori, how goes the matter of your Fior?
Okay, I have to ask a question. Hey,
Mhm.
Sean, had a character. How goes my trio priority? What do I know?
Shit, because the crew haven't done anything with it. Shitty. And it's been a month.
Ah,
To be
excellent.
fair, we have been trying to do those things, but other things have popped up.
You
Okay,
guys have a full plate. You have like what, 4 or 5 issues currently, like jamming
no.
their way down your throat.
We were PMing you. We were trying to set up the scene, but we haven't been able to. That was the thing.
Well, and also I think you guys, like, if I remember the prioritization chain, you guys had like number 2 below cleaning up the campus, and so I don't know when.
Well, what was the actual task? Because bear in mind, Chris set a task, but then you changed it because you thought it was entirely because the original task was go and kill both Black Spiral Dances yourself, and then you changed it because you were like, that'll get you just murdered faced.
Yeah, my original idea was go after them, and then Chris told me what it was, and I'm like, you are fucking insane. And so Chris basically made, I think if you talk to his characters, it was get them to the mages, and the mages were going to do something with them. Yeah. Because if I recall
I
correctly,
remember what it was. I had to basically get the mages to sign off and say that I had performed a great labor for them, and then present that to the Council of Barons, basically with the signature of the mage, I think.
Right, and what it was was that Chris's mage NPC didn't want you to kill them, but get the mages into a position where they either could find them and get them, or that they could be brought to them so they could do whatever they were doing.
Mhm.
So,
In theory, I presented I presented the mages with the werewolves' true names, so I just haven't had a scene with the mages in order to say if they can track them from having the true names, which maybe they can.
I'll have to talk to Chris because sands have shifted in the sorcerer venue, and the mages went and packed up their bags and moved on all the sorcerers.
What do you mean?
As in, because of all of the fuck-ups that have been going on, and I think you're quite aware of all the fuck-ups. The mages pretty much said, nah, screw you guys. You guys are endangering our chantries, and packed up and moved the chantries along with the nodes in question.
Oh.
Yeah, they're like the only like main sorcerers are Eric's mentor and my mentor that are known.
Okay, balls. Oh well. He will say, I have made progress. I have yet to establish if that is sufficient, but I shall be able to ascertain and hopefully present the signatures required to the council at some point within the month.
It'd be kind of a month late, wouldn't it?
I'm led to understand that Magi appear to go in their own time, and that attempting to rush them ends in some sort of firestorm.
Have you tried poking him with a stick?
My lord, if you recall what happened the last time we attempted to poke a supernatural with a stick, it turned into a large dog and attempted to savage you. That was a verbal stick.
Yeah, but with a literal stick, you can kind of keep them at arm's length as opposed to a verbal one.
Yes, my lord.
Tink, he pulls another note card out of the another card out of the Rolodex. Hopefully that still works. I got my number on him if I know.
What's the card as I pull it towards me?
It's basically Chris's mage NPC that contacted the Baron because they pulled the Baron's number out of their ass.
Ah, magic.
Yeah.
He will say, it will be done, sir.
Tick-tock. Anyway, is there any more fantastic news in which I should hear?
I would not necessarily call this fantastic. However, I am unsure if you have received the words yet.
And that is?
It is a side matter, but it still regards Lucy. She has mentioned a mother of hers, and she is perhaps still in the dreaming somewhere. If she were to...
Do we have a name?
Out of character, I do not remember.
No.
Okay. Karina will respond with, no, we do not at the moment.
Well, that just makes things so goddamn difficult.
My lord, Lucy and her unnatural existence raise questions that threaten not only our safety, but also the very nature of the changeling's existence. The girl openly claims, and not only openly claims it so, but believes that she was born and chrysalised within the dreaming itself. The esoteric forces involved in this should have driven her absolutely insane if she could still exist. If this indeed proves to be true, there's nothing to say what manner of Thalane or other twisted being we may in fact be dealing with. My own squire Olaf believed she was some kind of goblin in disguise.
And all that aside, if it was not true, or if it was true, or whatever in betweens, I mean, not true, true. it kind of complicates matters because her, how do I put this? Her words at face value are somewhat suspect, are they not?
They are, but this is why one can tell when one is lied to, sir. One can tell when one speaks the truth. This is the child's honest belief. I'm almost certain of it. And if it proves to be the case, we are in very uncharted waters, and we need to ascertain the veracity of the statements.
On the flip side, I believe that is what humans say. On the flip side, it may be a belief she has, but a belief does not necessarily make something true.
She spoke at some length to me about the friends she had in the dreaming and her wish to see them again. I am worried as to the nature of these friends and what they might in fact represent.
Chimera?
Possibly. But who is to say the nature of what chimera they are, or if they are forged from dream stuff or nightmare?
Well, seems like nothing can be easy around here, unless I make it easy. Well, we'll handle that as it is. Lady Karina, can you do me a favor?
Yes, my lord.
As you put it, you seem to have a remarkable relationship with her. If you can ascertain some level of, I'll even take at this point half-truth, I would greatly, maybe give it a passing thought.
I will take it into consideration. Karina is trying very hard to understand Puka-ese. This is taking effort for her.
And if you could, perchance, if you happen to bump into, ride, I don't know, stroke his horns, find him, if you could so kindly direct him to my office, I promise I will find a not-so-thick book with which to educate him on.
As I have said, my lord, I only seek what is a noble's right against a commoner who has profaned his name. So I thank you for your good justice.
As I understand that sentiment, right now the bludgeoning moment is wholly found on or maybe not so wholly find on. We'll see how blunt we need to be on the matter, but on if this indeed was an issue. Why is it coming to my desk now?
I assume both she are just kind of looking at him very impassively.
On my part, my lord, I wish to not make excuses. Though if you believe a punishment is deserving, I will dutifully take it. However, I was a new addition to this county. Relatively, I've only been recently saned, and the situation it seemed to be very ongoing.
I'm not, I guess I should clarify maybe, or I don't know, maybe it'd be more entertaining to leave it in because I'm talking more about the part that led to this investigation in the first place.
Oh, I had been trying to see you for a very long time, however. It seemed that you were a very busy man with a very busy schedule.
I like to pretend I am. I'm not holding you responsible. I'm more, if there was real concern as to the well-being of the child by Mr. Rosencourt, why I was left in the dark.
It is obvious, my lord. He did this. I don't know why. I have never been anything but civil to Mr. Rosencourt, in some veiled attempt to either flatter the services by saying what he felt they wanted to hear, or by attempting to disgrace me.
I've found more often than not when dealing with commoners, Hylon's razor is more effective.
Yes.
I mean, that is why Noblesse Oblige exists, is it not?
Yes. On a lighter or more positive note, I assume, sir, that you might require some good news.
That would be depressing, strangely enough.
Yeah. We are currently in the process of attempting to light a new balefire within the county.
Wow. I see how this could be good, and I can see how this can be bad. I can see multiple things that come with this. I guess I'll have to look more clearly on them.
By all means.
The last thing, depending on where it is, the last thing I need is another neighborly strife.
This place seems preordained. It was originally a nightmare realm, dreaming itself opted to purify and create a trod into and out of. I believe it is fortuitous in order to pursue the will of the dreaming in this matter.
Well, hopefully the casino kids don't get involved.
Who the hell are the casino kids?
Out of character?
Yes.
He's making a slighted remark towards the Nuna High.
Oh, okay. There we go. People say...
Yeah, no, Karina's going to ask if she has no objection about that. She's going to ask, what is a casino kid?
The ones in possession of the casino north of the main freehold for our duchy. Hurry Band Casino, I believe it's called, maybe. I could be. There's some in Kansas City. It's hard to keep track of all of them. People and their want to waste money.
He is inadvertently referring to our Native American. He contemplates. Kin. Ish. Yeah.
I have heard of them. She nods.
Don't go stirring up too much trouble with them. Or alternatively, you can. I don't know how much you like fuzzballs.
Not particularly, sir.
Karina's trying to judge if that statement from the Fiona was a sex thing or not.
I mean, I'm kind of fuzzy myself, but I don't tend to like ball up and have blood follow everywhere in my wake. Unless, you know, I don't know, I was taking a bath and fell into a pool of blood. You know, these things are just complicated.
You know what? Out of character, Karina would definitely ask this because Changeling Society is open to that. Karina's just going to ask, my lord, is that a sex thing that you're referring to?
What?
fuzzballs and bleeding?
Nah, if it is one, I potentially have never heard of it.
We have taken up enough of your time, my lord.
I will get on dealing with some of these things, and hopefully things will be ever so more exciting.
Oh,
Yes.
out of character, the scene that I did with Lucy like a couple of days ago, that's future data, right? So that's happening.
Yeah, future. Yeah, it's future dated.
Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah, after the Duke basically goes, "What the fuck happened? Oh shit, fuck no, balls, shit no, absolutely not."
What happened?
Basically, I mean, he doesn't have any any sort of, well, he is low level sovereign. So someone you need someone with a little bit higher sovereign. So you kick that up, and at the very least, you let the Duke know what's going on in his backyard, especially since it involves the state. And so it gets handled expeditedly. Unfortunately, that means that he's probably going to hear it for a very, very, very long time. And every time he hears about it, he's going to do this number.
Okay, and to explain what happened with Lucy, it happened after this scene, pretty much, I'll say. Karina came to visit her, and somebody was using cantrips on Lucy.
Yeah, we'll end this scene, and then we'll talk about that. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
In that case, as the two leave, thank you players for playing. Thank you watchers for watching. This has been another scene in Northeast Kansas. Peace!